they go. First time, and Quarrie got a magnificent start in line 2, and Quarrie really taking them off. And once collapsed on the track, I'm not quite sure it is. And there's another one down. Hampton, it looks like. No, Hampton in the centre, there's Quarrie. And Quarrie comes home in front with Hampton in second place, Evans third, and Betty in fourth. And Quarrie, the silver medalist in the 100, takes the 200 from Hampton. And in third place was Evans with Betty in fourth.
Top of the SportsMax Zone for this Thursday, one of Jamaica's finest ever sprinters, Donald Quarrie, the man who won gold in the 200 metres at the 1976 Montreal Olympics, silver as well in the 100 behind TNT's Hasler Crawford, has entered the race to become the next president of Track and Field's local governing body, the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, the JAAA. The JAAA will have its election of officers at the National Arena in St Andrew on the 28th of November. Nominations for all posts remain open. Quarrie and current JAA's General Secretary Garth Gale are the only candidates thus far in the presidential race. The 69-year-old Quarrie, who served as the JAA's board member from 2004 to 2012, is also a former vice president of the association. He joins us now to talk about his campaign platform, DQ, as he was popularly known in his heyday. Welcome to the SportsMax Zone. It's great to have you on this show. The entire Caribbean is watching, as well as our viewers in New York and Canada. Your reason, first of all, Don, as we welcome you, to put your name up for this position.
Thanks for having me, and I'm happy that I'm in a position to challenge for the presidency of the JAA's. But when Ian Forbes decided he was not going to run for his own personal reasons, I had previously made arrangements to assist the JAAA moving forward in many different ways, from a financial point of view, from an administrative point of view. So my plan was in making over a year ago. And I was waiting for Ian to declare, then I would make my presentation to Ian, which we would have been able to work together with. Unfortunately, Ian decided that he didn't have it, but for whatever reason, he's not going forward. I had to step in because all the things that I had been working on had to be done by someone who could get it done at a very high level, someone who could communicate with corporate Jamaica, with individuals in the United States, where I had made very good contacts as far as gaining assistance for a long-term period. And I did not feel that the GenSec could fit that role in taking it over from me or running it with me and making it successful. I didn't want to achieve 50% of it. I wanted 100%. And right now, I still have the support, and I'm looking forward to running, winning, and presenting our federation with a strong financial background, leadership skills, and great preparation for the future.
Yeah, Don, speak to me a little bit more about what you just said about Garth Gale and not feeling that he has the acumen to do some of what is required, suggesting that he has deficiencies that you don't.
I would more look at, I have more contacts, more efficiency in getting the things done. I'm not going to dwell too much on Garth. He's a principal at a high school. He is employed by the government. And how will he be able to run two offices on a daily basis? The word is out that, oh, I'm in California. I had no plans of running the JAA's from California. I spent 5 months on an average in Jamaica, sometimes 7, and I was never the president at that time. I'm in the office just about every day when I'm here. And most of my trips are financed by the JAA's for whatever reason, business reasons, to do with the federation or with international meets. So they know I'm here very often, and that's a fact. I'm in that office more than the two top people in there, the GenSec and the president. The president is a doctor. He has to take care of individuals, and that's a must. So usually an issue comes up, they pick up the phone and they'll call either one of them. So what's different? They're not in the office that often. I'm in that office when I'm here a lot more. And I think the whole idea of you can't control it from California, it's not a matter of controlling. If you have an organization that is well structured, you have a great GenSec, you have staff members who are able to carry out the duties of the operations of the Federation Association, it will run. They don't need to have me there every second. When I'm in Jamaica as a president, I will be busy going to corporations, visiting schools, visiting organizations. It's not a matter of sitting in the office and say I'm the president. I think I can offer the skills from a managerial point of view. I can offer advice to athletes and coaches as far as their development is concerned. And speaking of development, our junior program, that's one of my major push.
Yeah.
Is to make sure our development structure gets to where it should be.
It's at this point, I'm gonna ask you this question now, Don. Is it that the J3 as it exists, is it in need of transformation, or is it that what it's doing requires only streamlining?
They need to get into the 21st century. Do you know, since the COVID situation, they have not had an extraordinary meeting with the members to find out what's good, to advise them on certain things. There were 5 meets, I think 5 or 6 meets that were put on to facilitate our athletes. They were put on by MVP. They were great meets. They may have had J3 officials, yes, but it was organized and produced by MVP. So for me, they're lacking in doing things to advance us. It's a situation where the J3 may be well prepared, but not for the future. They will be left behind.
So that answers the question then, that you are coming to transform rather than streamline.
Yes, and the individuals who will be joining, Wayne, Anthony, have great skills. Now, I must say, and I said it at the AGM in November, the J3 has a lot of individuals who are well qualified to carry out a lot of responsibilities, but they never asked to. There are not enough committees set up to get things done. We don't utilize the resources that we have within the members of the J3.
So let me ask you this then, Don. Let me ask you this on that point. Are you saying then the fact that since let's start at where the WHO declared COVID-19 a pandemic in March 12. Between that time and now, you say no extraordinary general meeting. Is that perhaps symptomatic of a president who knows he's not coming back, so he has dropped hands? Do you believe that that is a large part of the reason for no meeting of the association since that time?
No, and I think that's where the GenSec comes in. I said before, the GenSec needed to have made the president look a lot better. The GenSec could have said, look, because the GenSec is supposed to do most of the work, and he could have initiated that process.
Yes.
But it's the mindset of everything is going okay, but it's not really okay.
So let me ask you this one more. Let me ask you this again. The amateur, which has been a part of the J3 since inception, of course, has been dispensed with. Would you say that under the watch of this president and certainly this GenSec, that the J3 is still amateur in practice, if not amateur in name?
I would say that the J3 is lagging behind. There's a lot more that they can do. They have the membership to do it. But when you have the old boys club, you have a problem. When you exclude a lot of the women on committees, you have a problem. When you give responsibilities out to everyone and expect reports and to go over reports and to see how best you can change and make things operate, we have a problem. These are the basic things that an organization should be doing, and we're not doing it. Our athletes are first class. They represent us great. Management, the federation represent us, but they can do so much more to uplift and make our organization so much better.
Yes, Donald, and as you're listing problems, funding, money has been an issue in the J3A. How do you plan to fix that if you become the new president?
I've been working on that from last year, and I've mentioned it to a few people in the office. It's something that I saw lacking. One of the areas that really touched me was when I see the coaches build up for champs. They do great. After champs, if they're not employed by the school, they have to try and find another job. And we have top coaches, okay? And at the same time, the athletes, there's no program set up for them to continue their athletic career leading up to the junior championships. I benefited as a junior after champs, having development meets right up until national championships. I benefited from that. I mean, I ran good at champs, but I did so much better by the time the national championships came about because Herb McKinley and those guys, they made sure we were able to train and continue. And one way of doing that is if you have 5 athletes that are in the Montego Bay area, wherever they are, you find a coach that is good at that particular event.
Right.
You let them stay where they are. Trying to bust them in here 2-3 days a week is a little tiresome. Also, you provide the resources to pay these coaches. You provide meals for these junior athletes. You provide the bus fares for them to move from A to B. Make it so much more comfortable for them and inviting that it will really motivate them to do more than we may expect, and they will surprise us.
Yes, Donald, definitely. So moving forward now, what do you think about the virtual voting process? Do you support that?
You see, if we had moved into the 21st century early, this should have never been an issue. How do you say to your athletes who have represented you, got medals, and are living in the US, but you only need them to go to championships or Olympic Games, but now we need them to get involved, to be a part of this, and they're denied this opportunity. Technology is there. This is something that should have been thought of. It's not something that should have been presented to the J3. It's something that should have been done early. Another issue, and since you're on that, so I spoke to one athlete, and she became a member this year, and she had been representing us from quite a few years, a couple Olympics and a couple of World Championships. She said, Mr. Quarrie, I didn't know I could become a member. Information to our elite athletes, don't go out. I think every athlete that represents us at a certain level should automatically be a member, and it's up to them to decide if they don't want it.
Don, I heard the current president in a recent interview domestically suggesting that he was a little bit turned off by people like you talking about a virtual vote and just saying it to the press when no formal representation has been made at the J3A's level to have that done. Now, I just heard you say that it shouldn't have been something coming from outside and that they within themselves should be taking the lead and ensuring that virtual voting will be possible for the upcoming elections. But the way he's coming across, it's as if no one is serious enough to have presented that, and they're just complaining to the media that there's no virtual voting on for the elections coming up later this month.
Well, I know for sure a lot of athletes were concerned, even the last election, that why do we have to fly all the way, spend our money just to come and vote? Why a system can't be put in place where we can vote from overseas? This was before the pandemic. This was 4 years ago. At the same time, I will say again, if you look at the membership of the J3As, there are a lot of elderly individuals like myself, over 65, and that consideration should have been a priority in this pandemic situation. That's all I can say about that. And I'm very surprised that he would make a statement that no one came to brought the idea to him. Leadership, that's what you do.
Yeah. Don, you had been a part of prior executives before, a board member and also a vice president of this same association. What was your experience during that period, and what if your opponents suggest that you had been a part of the executive in previous years and not, presenting and impacting in the way that you're suggesting you can now?
I would answer, when Howard was there, in fact, I read one of his documents, and he said, moving into the 21st century. Okay, unfortunately, Howard passed in 2011. He had plans for taking us to the next level. I think when Dr. Blake took over, he wanted to continue, but somehow it never happened. I was never involved between 2012 and now. The last election, I decided to abstain. I was the only one of all the members that did, because there are a few people that I said I would support, and there are a few that I wasn't happy about because I didn't really know them, to be honest. And also, I did speak to the president afterwards and told him why I abstained was because I didn't like his leadership style, and I would not even want to be a part. He made a statement saying I could not fit into his group or into his board, and that he would not say too much about me because of my stature and all that. That statement was made to him by a member, Gregory Hamilton, when he tried to undermine me, and Gregory had to remind him as to say, no, you cannot do that to Donald. And he used the same words that Gregory used to him to say, oh, I won't go in at Donald. I don't have a problem with Dr. Blake, we speak and we get along. I say to him what I need to say ahead of time. It's just that I still think that if he had more support, more people closing that door and say, look, Warren, come here, lock the door, we have to go over this. It could have worked.
Yes. All right, Don, we appreciate you coming to the program today to talk about your plans and putting your projections on the board as to what you would offer to the J3As. It is an issue that we'll continue to discuss until the 28th of November when those elections are held, and we'll be in touch. All the best.
Thank you very much for having me, and I got the list but no contact number, but I'm working on it.
All right, Don, take care.
Take care.
Donald Quarrie, 1976 Olympic champion over 200 meters, suggesting, George and Mariah, that being in Jamaica for 5 to 7 months out of every year, as far as he's concerned, is good enough stability as far as he's concerned to be running the office.
Can I say I don't know any of these that are running personally, but I was really in tune with what Donald was saying. He definitely caught my attention. I think he has some really good plans, and I'd love to hear from Garth as well, because Donald's, as a leader, I feel like he's very, very strong in the way he speaks, and he seems like he has, he's set in his way, like he believes in a certain thing and he's going to get it done. I think he has some good ideas as well. Yeah,
George, the rest of the Caribbean looks on to Jamaica with envy regarding our track and field governance. But here's DQ suggesting that it could be a lot better than it currently is.
Yeah, but everything can always be better. The thing is this, though, I think the administration, this current one, has taken unfair criticism for the online voting issue. It's something that most organizations everywhere around the world are grappling with now, because the constitutions did not foresee an event such as a pandemic, and the constitutions do not pronounce on the way to host annual general meetings, to take votes, and not even elections, because most of these constitutions say explicitly that you vote by secret ballot. How do you vote by secret ballot via Zoom or any of the other online platforms that exist? Some people say, but that's easy. No, because the constitutions again say that the members voting must be in a room in the same space, and you must ensure that nobody is locked out of the meeting. If you are to vote by secret ballot, then I have to lock you out after you vote, so that you can't vote again again. So it's a very, very difficult problem to resolve. And so to say that, boy, you didn't have this, or you didn't plan for this, I think it's unfair, the criticism. But I do agree that you need to get with the program, and if the meetings were being held from the time this thing was declared a pandemic, you could have moved to straighten that out. And I'm speaking from the experience of being a part of an organization that's trying to resolve that right now. So it's unfair to criticize them for it, but it's something that organizations need to get with, because that's a new reality.
Yeah, to be fair to Don, though, he did suggest as we wrap this segment that this is something that had been proposed or should have been looked at long before even the COVID-19 pandemic. And that is the position he has, that even long before now, the administration should have been forward thinking enough.
Maybe he was talking about getting people overseas involved.
That's what he was saying,
right, but in terms of voting online, nobody would have foreseen that voting would have been the difficulty that it is now.
Yeah, we go to break. Back with more on the Zone after this.